Hello everyone and welcome to this. Let's look at my top favorite, top all-time list of films, movies from the 1970s. Previously we've looked at the 1980s, 1990s, the 2000s, and here we are today to look back to the 1970s. We're going decade by decade, and hopefully you'll pick up something that you might not have seen before, add something to your own list on IMDb or this TMDB service that I'm using. I did used to have the IMDb account where I listed a lot of this stuff previously, but it was linked to my Facebook account, and then they unlinked it, and I lost that account, and that's why I'm using this ever since. Yeah. Anyways, let's begin, shall we? Starting off in February 18th, 1970, is MASH, the movie, based on the popular TV series MASH. If you haven't seen MASH, it's set in the Korean War. It's about a group of surgeons and doctors serving in the U.S. military, and they have a lot of time to kill, so it is a comedy. It's a semi-drama comedy. Dramedy, I suppose, where they take in injuries, and it gets, serious and dark in tone, and even a little macabre at times. But when that's not happening, these doctors, the surgeons, are super bored. They're technically military personnel, but, their hearts are more pacifist because they're, medical personnel, so they have a little feud sometimes with the generals and take the piss out of them, basically. MASH is a great TV series, and then, of course, this is the film version of this. I'm actually not as familiar with the film as I am with the TV show. But there it is. Moving on. Next up, Patton. This is a film based on General Patton. If you don't know who General Patton is, he was an important figure in World War II, in the U.S. invasion of Normandy and all the way to Berlin. This is his story. I can't say how accurate the film is to the real history, but it is a great watch, especially if you like World War II films. You see a lot of tanks in this. Ironically, the tank that they used to represent the U.S. military forces in the film Patton were Patton tanks, named after General Patton, because they couldn't get Shermans and such. Those old 1940s tanks were out of service, so they used Patton tanks and painted them in World War II colors. It's a good film, especially if you're into war films. Historical films. Okay, moving on. Out of Towners. Previously, we've talked about the Steve Martin Out of Towners. Well, this is the original. May 28th, 1970. This is still a great comedy of these two country-ish people. At least, I think they're from Oklahoma. And anyway, they end up in New York City, and they have to struggle with adapting to the new environment of New York City, how busy it is, the criminals. It's a fish out of water story. It's a really good watch. Next up, Kelly's Heroes. Now, here is a not very historically accurate World War II film, but it is a fun watch. It has Clint Eastwood as the main star, which, it's one of my favorite actors of all time. Kelly's Heroes. It's it says it right here, a misfit group of World War II American soldiers go AWOL to rob a bank behind German lines. So it's not so much of a war film as it is a story of these, brigands, it's got a lot of funny moments in there. It's not a very serious film, but it is a fun film. Do watch Kelly's Heroes. Moving on, Space Amoeba from Space. Now, this is a Japanese kaiju film, kaiju meaning giant monsters. This one featuring this giant squid, and it's just a cozy thing. All of these Japanese kaiju films, especially from this era and time, are very cozy things to watch for me. I don't know why. I always just enjoyed sitting back, putting on a big monster movie, and having like some soup or some potato chips or something, you know what I mean? It was really nice. I have fond memories of watching this and a lot of the Godzilla Heisei series and Showa series. Up next, Red Sun. Now, this is a film where East meets West. It is the combination of a Charles Bronson Western with a Far East samurai film. Two very popular genres at the time, and they meet here, and essentially what happens is the Japanese ambassador is there to meet the president. They've got this gift sword. They want to give the gift to the president as a gift of goodwill, and it gets stolen in a train robbery, wouldn't you know? So then Charles Bronson and this samurai bodyguard team up to retrieve the sword. Charles is very reluctant at working with the samurai character, but they end up sticking together and going after the bad guy, and you get to see some cool scenes like samurai action versus Wild West action. Like there's a scene where they encounter Native Americans attacking a ranch, and the samurai is just like creeping through the tall grass and picking them off one by one like he's the predator. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of, culture clash. It's a very walking movie as well. It's a journey. It's an adventure movie. Because they travel a long distance together, and in the end, well, they end up getting along. More or less. I don't know. They punch each other quite a few times too. It's one of those movies. Alright, I gotta move on. Next up, we have Duel. Now, here is an absolute classic, which we're gonna see a lot of absolute classic films on this list. Well, Duel is the story of this guy. He's going home, he's driving a long distance, and this psychopath trucker keeps coming after him, and he keeps trying to run him off the road. It is a horror movie. It is a very well-made thing. There are so many camera shots that are just beautiful and perfect. It is a masterpiece, very much like Jaws. Imagine something like Jaws, except instead of a shark, you got a truck coming after you. Yeah, that's Duel. Go watch it. Next up, moving on. Also, I'm not sure why it says 1983 here. Let's double check that out, because I'm pretty sure 1971, that's what I thought. 1983 released in the US. Was this a Spielberg film? I feel like it might have been. What does it say, director? Yeah, Spielberg, right there. Okay. Not sure about the date, why it says that, but yeah, it's definitely 1971. It's correct place on the list. Alright, moving on. Dirty Harry. Clint Eastwood's, hesitant to say, most iconic role, at least for me personally. I know his westerns in the 60s were very popular, we'll talk about those when we go through the list of 60s movies. But Dirty Harry, at least for me, was Clint Eastwood at his coolest, at his most suave and just gritty. I love the voice. What can I say? I love the look. I love the voice. And his 44 Magnum. It'll blow your head clean off. The cars, the city of San Francisco, the setting is just perfect. For someone who grew up with, like, Starsky and Hutch and games like Driver 1 on the PlayStation 1, this is just like the epitome of awesome. I really love the guy's look and his acting. Clint Eastwood's acting is immaculate. Now let me talk a little bit about the plot. There's a psychopath, really like psychopath, and when I say that, I mean this is a grounded story. It's not like, you know, Batman and the Joker. I do compare it to Batman and Joker in some senses though, because if you take away the masks and the cape and the superpowers and super gadgets and whatever, then you've got Dirty Harry, and his antagonist in this film is a real rotten piece of work. Like, I can't begin to describe how disturbing the antagonist in this film actually is. He's a real serial killer and a real psycho, and he manipulates people. He's just such a messed up dude. And Harry is doing his utmost to catch him, and the system fails him because he did catch him at some point, spoiler. But, you know, then he walks. He gets out because of police brutality or whatever the fuck he says in the film. And Harry's got to throw out the rulebook and put this guy away, because he's just going to keep killing. And he plays a little cat and mouse game with Harry. So do watch Dirty Harry if you haven't seen it. I'm hesitant to say this is one of my all-time favorite films. Actually, no, I'm not hesitant. There's no hesitation there. This is one of my all-time favorite films. Yeah, Dirty Harry. Any day of the week, I'll be happy. Any dirty job that comes along. Next up, Ulzana's Raid, 1972. This is another extremely gritty film. It's a very bloody western. It is a bloodthirsty western that doesn't hold back in showing gore and like the atrocities, like the brutality of life in the Old West, especially when you have this war party of Apaches just sweeping through the land, burning houses, killing settlers, all kinds of things, and they're being pursued by the U.S. cavalry, who has recruited a fairly like green lieutenant and also an Indian tracker, a former Apache tracker who has some insight to where they're going to be going and what they might be doing. It's another cat and mouse movie, you know, because they're trying to catch up with this band of Apaches the entire time and track them down and head them off. And the Apaches are very clever at hiding their tracks. Do watch Ulzana's Raid. Next up, The Poseidon Adventure. Now, I may have spoken about the remake of this. Well, this is the original. It's a disaster movie and a survival movie. The cruise liner, the Poseidon, capsizes, and it's stuck. Now, you're stuck on an upside-down ship. What are you gonna do? You can't get out through the top. You gotta avoid, like, flooded rooms. You gotta avoid so many hazards. And you have to make your way up. But up is down, so it's quite like, what the fuck? And then you have to get yourself to the boiler room, and, yeah, you're working yourself backwards through the ship to get up to the surface with the human story alongside it, which is, you know, who is surviving this disaster. And let me tell you, people start dropping, like, by like flies, man. Like, just imagine that scenario where you're in a disaster, okay, and then whoever's with you, like, they're gonna be strangers. They're gonna be random. Like, if your train crashed and everyone in your car has now got to work together, but they don't know each other. You know, it's got drama in there from this scenario as well. The Poseidon Adventure, classic film. Next up, the horror at 37,000 feet. I can't actually comment too much on this because I don't recall if I've seen it or not. This one's not at the front of my memory, at least. I may have just added it on to my list as a thing I want to watch because I like airplane disaster movies. So that's all I can really say. It's a 1973 airplane disaster movie. It's probably good. I still need to watch it. Maybe you do too, if you're into that. Next up, Godzilla vs. Megalon. Megalon is a cool thing. Well, first look at this poster. Just look at that poster there. They're standing on top of the World Trade Center, which they never do in the film. It's not taking place in New York at all. It's taking place entirely in Japan and on Japanese islands. Yeah, Megalon is a cool monster. He's an underground monster. He's like a giant beetle, a Godzilla-sized beetle. And if I remember correctly, there's this underground race of people who are sick of humans essentially, like, drilling and polluting the land and whatever kind of things and making a lot of noise in their city. I think they're just annoyed at all the noise, which, you know, I don't blame them for. Fucking living in the city sucks. Can you imagine living under the city and there's like jackhammers and whatever? Yeah, I don't blame them. So they set their giant monster, Megalon, to go and wreck that place. Well, Godzilla wakes up and you can guess what happens next. There's also an appearance, the only appearance, by Jet Jaguar with his famous song, Jet Jaguar. Jet Jaga, Hata Jagada, Patch, Patch, Patch. Well, if you don't know what that is, it's a little niche Japanese monster who is a lot like Ultraman. It was actually like a contest to get your monster into the movie. So it's a fan-made monster. They gave it to like elementary school kids, okay? So it's a kid's idea. It is a little cutesy. It's a more cuter side of a Godzilla movie. It's not too serious. It's very good guys, like Power Rangers-esque, gonna win. But it's a fun watch. I enjoy Godzilla vs. Megalon, especially the design of Megalon. I don't know why. I always think that monster design is pretty awesome. Like a giant insectoid monster with drills for hands? Come on. Maybe that's because I played too much of the Pipeworks Godzilla games. Like, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, where I think that Megalon became one of my favorites because of that game, I'm pretty sure. I've actually got a figure of Megalon. Luckily, Japan, Toho, keep making those Godzilla figures. Hey, keep making them, Toho, because they're awesome. Next up, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Well, I don't remember the details about this, but it's a Billy the Kid story. It's a Western. Something my granddad would have enjoyed and something that I will probably enjoy too. Now, I can't remember too much about seeing this film, so I can't say all of that much other than, if you like Westerns, here is a Western. Speaking about Westerns, Blazing Saddles. Now, this is a freaking hilarious spoof off of Western. So you've got, you know, your comedy take on one of the most popular genres of the 60s and 70s. I could watch this any day of the week. Blazing Saddles still holds up really well. It's still one of the greatest comedy films of all time, at least in my book. Alright, moving on. Jury of One. Well, it says here it's a blackmail story, and I don't remember if I've seen this or not. So, again, I'm sorry, I can't say too much about it. I'm doing this unscripted, if you can't tell. I'm ad-libbing and improv and just looking at what's on here. So, is this a good film? I don't know. Maybe if you've seen it, you can tell me. I'm not sure if I have seen it. Maybe I need to go and watch this one. Moving on. Space, 1999. Now, there's a classic film. Let me see if I remember what happens in Space, 1999. Let's read the synopsis. A moon-based crew fights for survival in the aftermath of a massive explosion that shifts the moon from its orbit into space. Something that I need to go and watch. It's definitely a sci-fi classic. I think I've seen it in passing, like flicking channels. I think that's the most I've seen of Space 1999. Definitely something up my alley, though. I love sci-fi incredibly much so. So let's watch Space 1999. Next up, we've got more Godzilla, of course. Welcome to my list. Okay. Gonna see Godzilla quite a few times. Here is Terror of Mechagodzilla. It's not Mechagodzilla's first appearance. This is a follow-on film from the original Mechagodzilla. And let me tell you, I'm talking about monster designs. Well, Mechagodzilla, the original Mechagodzilla, is still my favorite one of those interpretations of all time. He is so metallic and cool looking and just sharp and bolted and like riveted. Dude, Mechagodzilla, the original. I know it may seem kind of clunky now, but I still love it, dude. It's very angular, and I like that. You've also got a new monster here, Titanosaurus. That's the only appearance of Titanosaurus in the Godzilla franchise, at least as far as I know. Maybe he showed up in Final Wars, I can't quite remember. But he has this cackle, right? His monster roar is just like, gah, 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 gah. Okay, that's Popeye, but Titanosaurus has this cool sound it makes, and it only appears in this film, and he's not a monster that you see a lot, so yeah, watch it for Titanosaurus if anything else. Next up, Jaws. There's something in the water. You're gonna need a bigger boat. What can I say about Jaws? Look, who hasn't seen Jaws? This is a Spielberg classic. What can I tell you about Jaws? Well, it's based on a book, actually. The book was a bestseller. Quite a few people don't know that. I'm sure that maybe you do, or, well, at least now you do. Yeah, I've never read the book version of Jaws. I really should. This poster art here, that still exists. That shark is a real shark. It's not a great white. I forgot what type of shark it is. But I've seen a little video on National Geographic or by the Natural History Museum. I think it's the Natural History Museum in New York. Maybe you guys can look that up if you're interested and find out what kind of shark that is, because the artist who made that poster went there to take pictures of sharks that they had. And yeah, it looks exactly like that. When you see it on video, the actual one, it looks exactly like this. But it's not a great white. However, Jaws, Bruce, if you will, is a great white. The story is, it's gonna be 4th of July any day soon, and there's this shark and it starts napping people. There starts being a lot of deaths of swimmers, deaths of dogs. It's fairly brutal, and you know, the sheriff's got to flag it up and deal with it and be like, I gotta shut down the beach because shark. And the mayor's like, no, don't do that. We got to have guests for dollar bills, y'all, and that's not a great idea. So then Jaws ends up eating some lady's kid, and they set a reward for Jaws, and you get to meet Quint and Hooper, two really amazing characters. The character design in Jaws is so three-dimensional characters because they all have really fleshed out backgrounds. You really believe the characters in this story. Anyway, they set off to go and find the shark and catch it. Well, I'm gonna leave the rest up for you guys to watch it if you haven't watched it. I won't believe that you haven't watched it, but you know, maybe that's the case. If that is the case, it's time to watch Jaws. You have some of the best shots. You have the mechanical shark, like they built a giant, very giant shark model that operates through animatronics, and apparently it kept breaking down for the course of filming this. There's so many stories to tell around Jaws, let alone the story itself. It's something that I can watch endlessly. When I first saw Jaws, myself and my cousin from Germany, speaking about Germany, hey Zana, how are you doing? When I first saw Jaws, me and my cousin rented it, and we were only about like 8 years old or 10 years old at the time, 10, 11, 12, something like that, and you know, we had to get our aunt to rent it for us from the local library because it's an 18 rated film. And when I was setting up the film there in the DVD player, the DVD menu on that release of Jaws just kept repeating this scene where Jaws had just eaten someone or brushed past this thing in the water called a buoy. A buoy is like a little floating thing to let ships know, hey, there's land over here, don't go too close, you know what I mean? So that thing is like rocking back and forth. The water is quiet, the water is peaceful. Basically the scene was like Jaws had just taken someone and then slipped back under the surface. And you wouldn't be aware of it, like if you looked out to sea. It's from the opening scene, I'm pretty sure. It's from the opening scene. I'm not giving too much away here. Anyway, the DVD menu just had that buoy rocking back and forth with the bell in the background, just going ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, and on repeat. So while I was making popcorn and whatever else, I could just hear that echoing through the apartment. And that sound just stuck with me forever. Like, that just really gave me goosebumps, you know what I mean, as a kid. And to this day, whenever I hear a thing like that, I'm like, Jaws. It's Jaws. He's under there. Alright, 1975. Moving on to 1976, The Shootist. Now, The Shootist is a film that, I believe it's a John Wayne film. I could be wrong about that. I think it's one of John Wayne's last films. My granddad had the VHS tape off this film. I remember seeing it around my grandparents' house quite a lot. I think I watched it at some time when I was a very young age, and I honestly don't remember too much about it because I probably haven't seen it since. But it's a Western, and it's something that, you know, it has a family meaning to me just because it was one of my grandparents' VHS collection. So it reminds me of those days. Next up, another dirty job for Dirty Harry. This is The Enforcer, the sequel to Dirty Harry. They didn't title the sequels like Dirty Harry 2, 3, 4. No, they all have their own different name, like it's a novel. So, The Enforcer. Now, this is the one where he gets a new partner. The new partner is a female. It's a chick. Harry's not too happy, and it's not because she's a chick, but because his partners usually get killed, and this one is like, they're only really assigning her the job out of political correctness, even in the 1970s, out of that stuff, right? So she's getting pushed into a position where she's gonna be on the street, in the line of duty, in the line of fire, with the kind of crazy action that Dirty Harry goes through. So he's actually quite protective of her, and he's like, hold on a second, I don't think this is right. You're just doing this for the wrong reasons. Not to the girl, but to, like, the people assigning her. And, in the end, like, she's very upbeat. She's out to prove herself and prove she can do it. Alright, this is the one where there's, like, a terrorist group, and they're, like, pseudo-communist. So they're blowing up shit because to get attention, I suppose, and get their message out there. It's got some cool tech from the 70s, like they have a giant freaking walkie-talkie and a taser. One of the earliest tasers ever made is featured in this film, and it is like a brick-sized thing as well. Yeah, I like the Enforcer. Next up, another Clint Eastwood film, The Eagle Has Landed. It's been a few years since I've seen this one. I can't comment too much on it, but yeah, if you're into World War II films, The Eagle Has Landed. This is a Clint Eastwood film, right? I gotta double check that. Because actually, a dude recommended I should watch this. No, it's Michael Caine, not Clint Eastwood. Okay, I'm glad I double checked that. And look, you got Robert Duvall. He's been in so many things, notably CSI. Donald Sutherland, a good list of stars here. The Eagle Has Landed. Yes, I'm remembering now. This someone who I was talking to about World War II films, a customer of mine, actually, he recommended that I should watch this, and it's on my list here, so I gotta go watch it, but I haven't seen it yet. Moving on. Breaker Breaker. It's a trucker movie. It has Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is a trucker on the side of good. I believe you see a lot of like 18-wheeler trucks just roll over buildings, roll like right through a town. It's a crazy 1970s action movie with young Chuck Norris. Hey, that is exactly what it is. It's a popcorn movie. Grab a bucket of popcorn and enjoy some ass-kicking trucker action. Next up, The Car. You've heard of Christine, the Stephen King book and film. Well, this is The Car. It's basically like the devil himself possessing a car. It's totally driverless. It's got blacked out windows. You never see inside it. It comes out of nowhere. It's just a mystery thing. It's like Jaws on the road. Yeah, speaking about Jaws, this is Jaws if Jaws was a car. It just starts picking off people, and no one really knows how to deal with it. It's got this great honk as well, like honk on. There's a Futurama episode that you may be familiar with where Bender essentially becomes what's called a werecar, and that totally is inspired by this film here. Next up, Orca. We just can't get away from Jaws. It's the 1970s, and Jaws is just influencing all kinds of things. Well, following the success of Jaws, a book was written called Orca, which was then quickly greenlit and made into a film. This time, it is a killer whale who is out for revenge against this whaler. He stares at this dude, and he's like, "You killed my brother," and he's out for revenge. Now, the difference between Orca and Jaws is that the killer whale is an intelligent animal. It is very, very malicious in the way that it plans its attacks, a little bit more than Jaws did in his film. Although Jaws 4 is called Jaws the Revenge, but that's another topic. If you're looking for more oceanic animal attack films, try Orca. And if you want something to read, look up the book. It's not too hard to get. You can get it on Internet Archive and download the thing. I have. Alright, moving on. Damnation Alley. This is a post-apocalypse film. I don't think I've actually seen, but it definitely looks like the kind of thing I would enjoy a lot, and maybe you would too. Damnation Alley. What a cool freaking title and poster. Moving on. Capricorn 1. This is the story of 3 astronauts who they basically get turned on. They're supposed to have died. And the government then turn on them because they're not dead, and they're like, well, hey, actually, here we are. And yeah, it's a cat and mouse chase movie. The U.S. government are basically out to arrest and kill these 3 guys who go on their adventure trying to spread the truth about what actually happened in space and their story. And there's a cool chase scene. You can see it here on the poster art, actually, where there's a biplane being chased down by helicopters, and it is one hell of a chase scene. So, you know, if you're wanting to see that, like, that alone is worth watching this movie. You also have a very young, what is that dude's name? O.J. Simpson. Yeah, O.J. Simpson is in this before bad things happened with that dude. Moving on. The Force on Thunder Mountain, 1978. I'm not sure I've seen this, but it looks like a fun little horror movie. Ghost stories. It might be an anthology. I'm gonna have to check a little bit more about that. It's got a bad rating, but who gives a fuck about ratings, honestly. Next up, Jaws 2. Well, here we are again. Bruce the Shark is following us around going, dan it, because here he is again, back for his sequel. Now, this is actually a good sequel. Most sequels, you kind of like, well, they can't top the original, but Jaws 2, I'd say, is fairly on par with Jaws 1. You have the same character, the same sheriff return. He's like moved on-ish with his life, but he's traumatized from the events of Jaws 1, so he hasn't really moved on, and he's freaking out. He starts seeing sharks here and sharks there. Actually, an orca, it might be a reference to Orca the film. An orca washes up, and it's got a bite taken out of it, and the Sheriff Brody, he's like, well, that's a freaking shark bite, and the marine biologist is like, I can't tell that yet. Let me run some tests. And Brody's like, yep, that's shark. And he gets up in his tower and he spots a whole lot of bluefish in a school of bluefish out in the ocean. And he's like, shark. And he's so paranoid in this. It's awesome. The freaking end is amazing too. I don't want to spoil too much if you haven't seen it. But, you know, who hasn't seen all of the Jaws films? Okay, at least Jaws 1 and 2. Come on. Alright, I know somebody's going to tell me they haven't seen it, so I won't spoil too much. However, there's, you know, his kids, teenagers, and they're all sailing around on their cool little sailing craft, which is awesome to live like that. It makes me want to live by the sea. This film, forget about the shark. Like, even if there is a shark, that looks hella fun. They go out in these little sailboats, and That's just awesome. I love it. Jaws 2 makes me want to get a boat. Next up. Hey, you Jax. How you doing? How are you doing? Uh-huh. Jaws 2, you love that one. It was a good one. Yeah, it played on TV not too long ago. I caught it on TV not too long ago. Those entire franchise of shark movies, like I can just watch them again and again and enjoy them every time. Yeah, so like you can tell, we're running through my list of films that I've been adding to here for quite a long time and just talking about what's on here. And we're coming towards the end. Here we are in 1978, June 28th. Blockbuster release, Convoy. What can we say about Convoy? We've got a great big convoy trucking through the night. We've got a great big convoy. Ain't she a beautiful sight? Well, Convoy is the classic trucker movie, and probably the all-time number one trucker movie. It doesn't get much more. Smokey and the Band. I guess Smokey and the Bandit should be up there as well. But if you want to stick it to the law, and I do, then get your convoy buddies to help you out and bust through those roadblocks. It's a good story, Convoy. It's a fun one. Moving on, The Wild Geese. Let's see, was like an SAS movie or a Special Forces war movie. I'm trying to remember what happened in this one. I don't clearly remember it, but it looks like an action piece, you know, if you like World War II movies. Behind enemy lines, commandos, that kind of thing. Check out The Wild Geese. What a cool title. Oh, here we go. Now this I could talk a lot about. Smokey and the Bandit was one of your favorites as a kid. Yeah, I'm telling you, the Firebird, the car, the Trans Am, the freaking Pontiac Trans Am Firebird. Man, if I had money enough to get me one of those, that's a go-to. Every time that's featured in a game like Forza or something, I'm like, I gotta get the Firebird. Firebird, good car. Speaking about good cars, Mad Max. Mad Max 1. Mel Gibson, set in Australia. Oh, wait a minute. This says 1980, but that can't be right. That can't be right, can it? Let's double check here. 79, that's what I thought. Sometimes they put different release here. Like, okay, it got released in the US in 1980. However, its original release was 79. So, Mad Max 1, post-apocalyptic. The world of Mad Max is like, there's no water, there's no gas. Gasoline has become like currency. All kinds of things have failed, like government, there's complete anarchy. There's no police force, there's no military. You just have little enclaves and gangs, like Sons of Anarchy kind of gangs roaming around, being assholes to each other, basically like trying to take things from each other, robbing each other, stealing. And Max himself is a former cop, and Mad Max 1, he's got this Interceptor car, which is still like a cop car. It's actually a really brutal story because his family get wiped out pretty much before his eyes, or he finds the aftermath, kind of like Gladiator. So after that, he's like, well, I'm a changed man, and I'm gonna kick some ass and take some names down. Yeah, Mad Max, he still stands for good, but that's a guy who's lost his, he's not got a whole lot to live for anymore, so he's completely doesn't care what happens to him in the process. Here we go. Next up, Alien. Now, when I was a film student, I every day, every project that they said, like, pick a movie to talk about or discuss. I picked Alien every single time. I was going to the library of my university, picking out those H.R. Geiger books, and looking at all of the cool artwork that this Swedish guy had made. Alien, Ridley Scott's classic. This is a film which was a huge influence on me. The first time I watched it on like a static, CRT television that didn't have the best signal from my bedroom, so it was all fuzzy. And so when the alien popped up on that scene in the, what they call ventilation shafts, it was just that much more intense, because not only had I never seen that thing before at like the age of 13 or 14 or whenever I saw it, 12 I guess actually, yeah. It was just like, what the hell is that? And it piqued my curiosity. So when that happened, I became really fascinated with what is the perfect organism, what is Alien. The universe that it's set in is very gritty sci-fi. It's extremely almost realistic. Like, everything is dirty. It's a lived-in working environment. They're essentially space truckers hauling minerals, hauling goods across space. And yeah, they bring aboard this, they check out this signal, isn't it? They check out the signal, they bring aboard a dude who, well, one of their crew who gets this thing strapped to his face. It's called a face hugger. But imagine seeing this for the first time. Like, that's what I try to go back to every time I watch this. Try to forget all about it, because once you know about it, look, you're familiar with what a xenomorph is and what it looks like. But much like Jaws, the less you know, the less you're aware of, the better it is, the sweeter this movie is. Alien. Number 1 sci-fi horror film all time. Alien, amazing on the edge movie. One of the movie where even not seeing the alien is scary. And I'm telling you, the less you see of the creature, the better. Although it is an awesome design too. I've got so many little alien figurines and books and so many things. I'm going to talk briefly also about the poster, because if you look at the egg here, the egg in the poster, it's very reminiscent of when I went to the cinema when I was younger, and they had a lot of promotional art for Alien Resurrection and Godzilla 1998. Okay, those are 90s movies, I'm not really supposed to talk about them in this video, but the promotional art was the egg. It was just the egg, a giant cardboard egg, a giant poster with the egg, with the green background, and I was just looking up at that thing, being a small child at that time, looking up at that egg, being like, what is in that egg? I want to see that movie. I ended up going to see something else, like, not a scary film at all, but, yeah, that always stuck with me, so maybe that's why, or that's where the fascination began with Alien. Okay, we gotta move on. Escape from Alcatraz. Another Clint Eastwood classic in my list here. Clint Eastwood, this time he's in a true story, because this actually happened. It's a legendary story back when Alcatraz Island in San Francisco was still an active jail. And these 3 dudes planned their escape, and you know what? They did it. They actually escaped from Alcatraz. Now think about Alcatraz, it's an island. It's surrounded by freezing water, it's got guard towers, it's got high walls. It's a freaking island, like how are you gonna get out of there? Well, these guys did. And it remains a mystery to this day, had they survived their escape or not. Technically, they're still on the FBI's wanted list, I believe so. I believe that it's just like it's gone unanswered what happened to them. Hey, they probably drowned, but who knows? Maybe they got out of there and went to Barbados and are living happily or, died 10 years ago. Who knows? But the movie is a freaking good watch. Next up, The Black Hole. This was Disney's attempt at Star Wars. They wanted to cash in on the success of Star Wars, which should also be on my list, but it's not because I guess it's super famous and I didn't think to add it on there. Yeah, well, honorable mention, Star Wars. You may have heard of it. However, The Black Hole is Disney have always wanted to cash in on that franchise. They always did. They always wanted a piece of that action. So they put out this film, The Black Hole. It didn't do as well as Star Wars. You might have heard of it, you may not have. But that was their attempt to get onto the sci-fi trend in the 1970s. Now, of course, Disney owns Star Wars, and, well, we're all the worse for it. Alrighty, and that concludes the 1970s portion of my list. Next up, Final Countdown. We've already talked about it. If you want to hear me talk about that, go to the 1980 video that I made previously. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the list today, and hopefully you've seen something cool and something that you haven't seen before. And maybe you can tell me, what's your favorite film of the 1970s? What's your favorite film of that decade? Let me know in the comments below. As for right now, I am gonna take a break. And maybe you should too. Go get something to eat. You deserve it. Have a cup of coffee. Alrighty. I'm gonna raid out to somebody. And I'll be back a little bit later with either some Total War or RimWorld. Yeah, so let's look forward to that. In the meantime, do give a big hello to my friend Chuck the Grafted. He's playing some Persona 4. Chunk the Grafted. I spelled it wrong. Alright, do give them a big, friendly, Primeval Zone hello, and I will be back in a little while with some video games. Until then, take it easy, take care, and see you later.
It's our people who have been shown on TV recently. Get it now?
Huh. Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, what up, everyone? How you guys doing?
All right. Now, we have to
I ain't
keep
gonna
a
lie,
close
Kanji
eye
fucking
on
stupid.
everything Rise does.
I feel like Kanji might have a little bit of ADHD or some shit because this man does not stay focused in the fucking slightest.
Let's do it!